Hello, people. Glad you're here. How was your weekend? Me too. Nice weekend. We got that 390 we're building. I got that clutch side bearing finally. There's something about these you need to know, so you don't do what I did. Oh, I don't know. It was a while ago, quite a while ago, that I had to rebuild one of these for a fella, a good friend of mine, and I got the bearing in backwards, clutch side bearing. That has to come right from Husqvarna. Now, if you look on that side of that bearing, you see them balls. That's your interior side of your bearing. The other side is your seal. That goes outside. Yeah, you know what I did. Yeah, I was looking at pump, pump, pump in a hurry, bum, bum, like that. That's the problem with being proficient at working on saws. You can miss something. It's a danger. If you don't know how to work on saws, it's a danger. You know what that means? We just got to pay attention to what the heck we're doing, don't we? So anyway, on to something more fun. I got something really cool. Yeah, greenhouse has done good, hasn't it? I see a lot of you guys watch that, my own people. You know what's funny? YouTube sent me a little notice that my people are watching it just fine. But it's not being picked up by non-subscribers near as much. We expect that. We don't care. It isn't always about the views. The commercials, I know. I hate commercials. And it seems like we got a lot of them. Well, you know, here's the rub. To be able to make anything on YouTube, which is very little at this point for us, the commercials have to be there. If we don't monetize them, it don't do anything for us. So it would be a waste of time. Skip them. I don't even care. You get paid on YouTube by how many minutes or hours of commercials are actually watched. But it does get excessive. It really does. We have choices of where they go. We don't have choices of what type of commercials, but we have choices of where the commercials go. I don't like the commercials in the middle. I think that we don't have to have them there. It's a little less money or a lot less. That's where the major money is. I don't care. I'm going to work on that. Josh brought a saw. He's a subscriber. He lives up near Buffalo. And we had this arrangement. And I'm sorry I missed you, Josh. I was out mailing a 266 to Buchan and mailing some parts to Slammer. And I just missed him. Which I wanted to meet him. I'll meet him when he picks the saw up. Josh brought a beautiful 61. Nice saw. This is a nice one. This is a beautiful saw. The symptom is, I believe, I might be wrong about this, I believe it was his granddad's saw. The symptom of this one is, it doesn't start and it's blowing gas right out the muffler. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to figure out what's wrong with this old bugger. Now this one's kind of neat. I haven't even cleaned the saw up yet, but I'm wiping a little oil off here and there. This one came, yeah, it's built in Sweden, with a chain brake. You can sure tell that's not an aftermarket. Yeah, nice chain brake on that one. Beautiful saw. They made this 61 actually quite a long time. But I'm going to show you a couple subtle differences. Can you hot rod a 61? Oh, yeah. Can you do it with a stock cylinder? Oh, yeah. I prefer not to call them hot rodded, but in this case, it probably would be a little hot rod. You got a light little piston that's ready to zing, and you got a nice cylinder. So it isn't always about increasing the cc's of a saw to make them better. Is it worth it? In some cases it is. A lot of cases it is. This is one that, not necessarily. Yeah, you get more out of them when you go the 272 top end. I'll tell you that straight out. You really do. But you got things you have to change. But here's one thing you run into with saws like this, which I find very interesting. I got a 272 here. I'll try to line these up so that you can see something. They don't have as much clutch on these. Okay, so I'm going to grab you right here. Try not to throw you around. Okay. You see the shoe, the distance in the shoe area here to here? These are shorter shoes than this one. See, that's less distance. More surface means more clutch power. Okay? That's what that means. I'm not sure why. Yeah, you're right. I know what you'd ask. Well, can you put the 272 clutch on the 61? Yeah. And you can put it back the other way. There's two schools of thought on this. I would prefer heavier clutch, personally. It does not mean that the clutch that's on the 61 is weak. It's not. It is less surface area, but it'll grab amply enough for a 61. Even if you tweaked it, it would grab amply enough. Okay, the one thing I know, the saw's got compression. No question. It has the muffler opened up. I'm concerned with that size. Is that maybe a bit much? I don't know. It's not going to stop it from starting, I'll tell you that. The darn thing can start without a muffler. They just don't want to run good. So, first thing we need to do, we need to check for spark. If you flood a saw terminally, believe me you can, I've done it. Done it on an 044. Tin Man said he did it on an 044. I like Tin Man's channel. Tin Man's Saws. He's up in Canada. Good lad. If you ain't stopped in and seen his channel, go see him. He's up and coming. It's like Kenzie. Him and Kenzie are buddies. They know each other. They share information. As most of you know, Kenzie has learned some stuff from me on porting. And he's also shared it with Tin Man. This is what this is about for me. You know, at my age, how long am I actually going to want to work on saws? Oh, probably all my life. But how much am I actually going to want to do? I don't know. We'll find out. I like these young guys in their 30s. I'll tell you why. They're our future. Both of them are a little more willing, I believe, to work on the newer stuff than I am. I really don't. 576, no, you don't have my interest. Will we build one on this channel someday? Probably. But I'll pick it apart. And not negatively. I gotta admit, when they're right, they're really run. They heat up. They're more complicated than I really enjoy, honestly. And this one still got the gasket. A lot of these saws that come in do not have this black gasket right here. They don't. And it's a son we're going to find one. And so unfortunately we end up depending on plastic to plastic fit. In most cases that's good enough. In most cases. If you start seeing fines go down in your throat, better make one. I tell you what, there's some of these gaskets that I'm gonna get reprinted. I'm gonna have them printed. I'm tired of not having gaskets for these oddball saws. But it looks like it's got a new plug in it, or fairly new. So let's see what that looks like. All right, Josh, get to see us all worked on. I ran into something on Bosch plugs. Does it matter? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, I think that somebody is repopping them. I'm going to show you what I'm telling you. I know for a fact this plug doesn't run good. I'm going to blatantly come right out and say there's a foreign country that repops a lot of parts is getting just a little ahead of themselves. Okay, this is a factory Bosch plug. There's no question it is. I know that is. See the blue stripes? I know that's Bosch. Look at this one. I don't think that's a Bosch. Look at that. See, that's got the number on it. Look at that. I think this is a copy. And I don't think it's a good plug either. I put in 2 different saws and it was very erratic. Okay. First thing I'm doing is making sure I don't have just tons of gas in this. Some very light scratches on the exhaust side. This might be one to actually pull the muffler off of. But let's just see what's going on here. Let's checking to see where the tune is. I bet you we got a carb issue, don't you? Yeah, I know. I bet we do. Bear with me. Okay, at that point right there, what I'm going to do is make sure there's some fuel in this, and I'll be right back. Okay, I did put some gas in it, and I don't know if you guys are allowed to do this, but I sometimes carry tools in. I use this little Craftsman screwdriver right here. It's long. I like it for adjustment because it'll fit in any saw. The only thing I had to do is they're a little wide right here in this area on both sides. I just put it on my bench grinder, just ground that so that was straight. And but that's what I like. It seems to serve well. Okay, now what I've done is I've set my low jet at 1 turn out. I've set my high jet at a little more than 3/4 of a turn out. I do that on the 61s through the 272s. They like less on the top end. If you got that at turn out, that's going to be really fat. Now, the 372s and everything else, 1 turn. Just most other saws, 1 turn. I think some of the older 66 flat tops, they were 3/4 of a turn. Is where you started on your high jet, 1 on the low. But anyway, that's what works with us. The next thing I want to do is I want to see if I get spark. Now, it's kind of fun doing this alone. I ought to build something to lock the saw down so I can, but I don't. I just hold my hand on it. Make sure your switch is on. I've had that one screw me before. Okay, yep, okay, plug. So you put another plug in. Nope, that one don't work. Try the third. Pull one out of the saw. You know it's running. It don't work. Go in there and start tearing into the ignition. Put a new ignition in, it don't work either. And the whole time you didn't have your switch on. Don't get in a hurry, folks. Slow and steady wins the race. Okay, now I got to move my light so I can see because I'm getting blinder in old age. I have a very good spark. Very nice. Okay, now that we know that we got spark, now here's what makes a motor tech. If it's got You got to have compression. You got to make sure of that. But if it's got a spark and it's got ignition and everything's on the right time, it's going to run. You got to have compression there. So we just got to make sure that we have the proper of everything that sets the rules. Okay, I am going to set the throttle. We'll give it a couple pulls, just see what it does. Okay, now what we're expecting is it didn't fire, and a lot of raw gas is indeed coming through the carburetor, or I mean through the exhaust. Okay, what do you think causes that? More than likely it's got a leak, and that can be at the intake, that can be a carb issue, or it can be crank seals. Crank seals will make them do that too. So that's what we're going to chase. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the easiest first. We have to make sure the carb's alright. That's what we got to do. It looks like there may have been a new gasket in this. But we're going to trace this out. I might do this in a couple videos of farting around with this one to get it running. That way you get to see it. Troubleshooting a saw. Okay, this is what this is all about. We have to know what it's not doing right. It's nice to know what it is doing right too, obviously. So what we got to do, we're going to take this carburetor off. We're going to check gaskets. The first thing I'm going to do is go through the carb. I don't expect this is where the problem is, honestly. But you have to do a process of elimination. The first thing we know, it's definitely getting fuel. Okay? And it's definitely getting spark. That I guarantee. Canned up some pickles yesterday. Some dills. I was pretty happy to do that. I was stoked, man. I like my dill pickles. I really do. They're good stuff. Now, there's two ways to get these bolts out right here. You can take that switch off and sneak in there, but you're still at an angle. I just choose to go over top. I always loosen this one on the right first, because that's the one I can go straight in on. Okay, once that's loose, then I go to the one on the starter cover side. And I generally give it just a little help. See, I'm pushing down. There we go. Got it loose. Now what I got to do now is just, now that they're loose, I'll just push my fuel line off. That's interesting. It's not pushing fuel up out of it. Guess it ain't warmed up enough. Guarantee if that saw had any heat building into it, it'd be puking fuel. So what it'll do is it'll make me think everything's okay, and then it'll start puking fuel. That's what it's going to do. I love these projects like this, don't you? Beautiful saw. It's got a problem, and we are going to fix it. And I think, because we've done so darn many of a series, that whatever's wrong, I don't care if it's seals, gaskets, whatever, we'll have them right here. Because I generally buy some extra in case they screw up. How many of you guys change the seal, and you've done it for years? You'll get one cocked around and sideways. They're not always plug and play. And so far, my experience on the seal drivers that are made by the manufacturers, I see where there could definitely, with no question, be some room for improvement. A lot of times I'll cut me a little piece of pipe and start grinding and make it where it fits, or find his right socket. In some cases, I can use as a driver. And you do whatever it takes to get the job done. I doubt we'll have this running on today's video, but we will have it running. I know that. Josh does too, he wouldn't have brought it. So this is going to be a fun one. It really is. So first thing I got to do, that little joker up out of there. Now we're real suspect to gaskets on these anymore. Honestly. The gasket is stuck. It does look good there. Now what this does, this gives me a window of opportunity to actually look inside the cylinder. So what I'm going to do is roll that down to bottom dead center, back up to top. I want to look at the very bottom of the exhaust side. Shine in there. It don't look too bad. Yeah, that don't look too bad. Okay, so I got that out of my system. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go in and clean that carburetor. And we might throw some new gaskets in this and see if we made a difference. There's a couple things I'm suspicious about. Oh, I think I found the problem. We're going to go deeper, guys. That cylinder's been off. I'm not sure what they used on it. It's not something I'm familiar with. But I think what we better do is make sure that we don't have a cylinder base issue. I don't think there's a gasket in there, but I'm seeing something gray in there. So give me a minute to pop that off, and let's look at that. Okay, we might have found it. There's no guarantee of nothing in this world, you know how it is. But there is kind of an anomaly here. And Josh, buddy, I'm not picking on you because I've been right here so many times. But it is some type of a gray sealant. And what it looks like is that right in here we had a vacuum leak. Maybe both sides. It looks like also that at one point there was fuel. See the black ring going down past that ring. Okay, I think that's a new ring on here. Piston's fine. You're not going to be able to see down this teeny tiny little cylinder. They got an oddball transfer. They really do. Yeah, there's things you can do to these. Yeah, there is. But I'm not going to tell you about them. But I will show you what type of transfer these particular ones have. Is right here. There we go. See that? That's kind of an unusual design, isn't it? But you notice it will lean it toward the intake, which is this side over here. And but most importantly, why I know that this was started when this stuff wasn't dry yet, is down inside you see this milky, and right in this area here, that did not seal. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to seal this saw up. So right now I'm going to be cleaning, reseal the saw. We'll see what happens. I'll be right back. Okay, we got it cleaned up. I'm not sure what the sealant was. It's Josh said, like I said, I ain't picking on you, buddy, about what you use for sealant. We use what we think works. But I use, and it works good, is the motorcycle engine assembly silicone. If it's good enough for bikes, good enough for a saw. just a little bead on my finger, and you seen me. I don't put on, it ain't much. You don't want that running out much, I'll tell you. You're just painting it on like that, just light. This is an area, believe me, less is more. You'll have a better seal. If you get it too thick, it ends up in your saw. No matter how thin you think you're getting it, my experience is that you are getting between 2 to 3 thousandths compressed. That's all you get. 2 to 3 thousandths. Well, I'll tell you what, that's the thickness of a human hair, you know what I mean? That isn't very much. Okay? Now the bugger of this is, there's a little hole in these series saws that you don't want to plug this little hole here on the intake side. You probably can't see that very good, but it's there. You don't want to plug that little hole. Okay, so we got that. And it's ready to put back together. And this is right by the numbers. This is no big deal. Yeah, this time I left the handlebar on. And these, the notch is in the rear. I don't know if this one's the right size or... No, that's too big. These are a little saw. I'll tell you what, for you to want to just port it, it wouldn't have took very long to do it. Because they're little rascally little buggers, I'll tell you. Okay, now I can set that up some. I'm going to have to go get a ring presser and pop this together, and we'll be right back. I just took a minute after getting my ring presser. A lot of these single rings they're a little stiff, and I feel like that sealed up quite nicely, if you know the truth. Yeah, that's the stuff to use, that motorcycle engine assembly silicone. Okay, here's another thing that I noticed, which we're going to do something about that right now. Excuse me, folks. There was no gasket. Gotta have a gasket here, guys. Josh, it ain't a knock on you, buddy. That's why you brought it here. Somebody tried for this guy, or he tried himself, and it does not even matter. It does not. I want you guys to try working on your own stuff. If you have a problem, get a hold of me, if you can. I know I'm kind of hard to get a hold of lately. Okay, this one is going to be one of them problem ones, I think, where you're not going to get the right gasket on it. Let me just see. There is ways around this. I'm going to look and see if I can order this gasket. Ran into that before. This is the 268, 272. These are slightly smaller. And an emergency, we can use red high temp silicone. It will work. It will work. In fact, I might do that right now, and I don't very, very often get these saws. I really don't. Not with a good cylinder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up while you're sitting right there. I'm going to put just a little thin bead of red silicone on this muffler, and we'll be right back for the next little piece. Brake parts cleaner, it's what I use. Get it at Walmart, $1.96. Clean everything really good before you apply any kind of sealers. Okay, just bear with me. Okay, we have suspicion that we had a leak under the cylinder. That may not have been leaking, or it may. Because we didn't get it to start, you can't hit it with a little shot of brake parts cleaner and see if it makes the saw wet. So you have to assume, you have to eliminate this. We know we had a leak at the exhaust for a fact. there was no gasket, it is going to leak some. Metal isn't good enough. Yeah, I know they make a metal gasket. Got a rib on it. That seals. So we sealed it with high temperature silicone, the red stuff. That works. That does work. You gotta let it dry. Any of your sealers, you give them ample time to dry. I mean, plenty. Because once that fuel or heat hits that stuff, poof, gone. Okay, now I'll tell you what I found in the carburetor. The little nipple right there was on top of the needle. Okay? Now what you do is when you're putting them on, you slide that in, you just pull up. You make sure that's on there. If that's on top of there, all that's going to do is just puke. It ain't going to do nothing for you. Yeah, it's got lots of fuel coming through. The height may be slightly high. I like them, and I think most people agree, just about level or just a whisker high from level on these carburetors. Okay. Carburetor look clean. Everything looks good. Gaskets on the proper side. All of this. This is just little things that happen. It happens to everybody, and we learn from it. So you just pull that up. Had it on there. Just make sure that's on there. When you get it in place, you just give it just a little tug. Okay. We'll be back here in a few minutes. I'm going to put this back together and we'll see what happens. Okay, so what we've done is we've got the card put back together. Put it back on the saw. Hook the fuel line up. Throttle linkage. Once in a while I do a video like this where I just pause it, just keep pausing it, because I know it's not going to be something I really need to edit. We save editing for when we're putting conglomerations and things together, or over a few day period. Yeah, I'm doing this right on my phone. I think a lot of people do. Okay, we've got this together. We don't know if the intake leaks yet. Everything